Hey, welcome to Percentile. We're looking here at the instructional video for question number 1, percentile rank. The following list represents the heights in centimeters of students in a class in increasing order. So the shortest kid in the class is coming in at 138 centimeters, whereas the tallest kid in this particular class is measuring in at 152 centimeters. And we want to know what is the percentile rank of a student with a height of 147 centimeters. So a couple of key things to note here before I get into the formula. Obviously things to look for to tell you what you're doing when we ask you for percentile rank straight up. There's a formula that we're going to use, so watch for those keywords. And of course this is a significant number here because that right there is our target number. This is the one that we're being asked about, so the one that we're shooting for, or the target. So before we begin trying to figure out what that is, I want to remind you what a percentile is. What it really breaks down to is what percentage of the data points would somebody who is 147 centimeters tall be either greater than or equal to. So if you're this kid right here, we're asking you what percentage of the class are you taller than or the same as. It's kind of ranking yourself out of 100. And so the formula for that is really easy. The percentile, in order to calculate it, is really just based on knowing three numbers. The percentile will be equal to always the same thing. It's going to be the number of values less than the target number. So the number of values less than that target. And then to that, we're going to add 1/2 the number of values equal to the target. So the number of values equal to the target divided by 2. We're going to simplify that number. And then we're going to take, sorry for the smudge there, and then we're going to take the whole thing and we're going to divide that by the total number of values in the data distribution, and at the end we will times it by 100, and this is key. We will always round up, regardless of how small the decimal is, and we'll see that in some other examples. So we're going to go ahead and calculate the percentile rank of somebody with a 147. So in order to do that, there's a couple of tricks that I use. First thing I do is I go and find the 147. There it is, and I'll just take note we only have one of them, and so we know that there's going to be a 1 over here. We also need to know the number of values that are less than that target, so less than the 147. That's going to be made up of, since these are already in order, all of these ones over here. So if we count them out, we're going to see that there are 9 of those. And the last thing that we need to remember for the bottom part of the fraction over here is how many there are in total, and it turns out that there are a total here of 14. So once you know those three numbers, the number equal to the target that we're being asked about, the numbers less than that we're being asked about, and then the total number, we're going to put those three numbers into the formula and simplify it. So this is what that would look like. Our percentile for this particular question will be equal to 9. So the number of values less, plus the number of values equal to the target. I only have one, 147. The kid herself, or the kid himself, 1, which I have to put over 2 afterwards, and we know we're going to change that into a decimal. And then I'm going to divide that whole thing by the total number of values, which I've already figured out is 14. And at the end, I'll times it by 100. But we're going to simplify this first here, and we'll get 9 plus 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, which I'm going to have to divide by 14. And that's going to be equal to 9.5 divided by 14, which I'll times by 100. So we'll do that on the calculator right now and go 9.5 divided by 14. Hit equals. Always hit that equals button, and then times it by 100 and hit equals again, and in this case you're going to get 67.5 0.85, but regardless of what the decimal is, I'm always going to round it up to the next biggest number. So in this case, this kid would be in the 68th percentile. So if you're a kid who's 147 centimeters tall, you are taller than or equal to 68% of the kids in your class.